Okay, hello, welcome to H3 Health, Hope, and Happiness. I am Alan Friesen, otherwise known as the Acapellist. My co-host Scott Sweetman is not with us yet, but he will be soon. I'm sure he will. But in the meantime, let me tell you a little bit about Jess TV. This is being broadcast on Jess TV. Did you know Jesse Parmore, the owner of Jess TV, he's a pretty big deal. He recently, they quoted him in the Lethbridge Herald and talking about him and what he does, and that on Jesse Parmore, received on March 6, 2022, by command of the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, the Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee Medal. I did not know that about Jesse, but he's a very modest person. He wouldn't tell me that. We went out for lunch recently and he didn't even mention that to me. And he's talking about his program and how his program is expanding and how he's getting more shows happening. Great news. Hey, Scott Sweetman.
Hey, Alan, how are you?
Good. Did you just hear what I was talking about with Jesse?
I did. I read the article, actually.
Yeah, that's cool, eh?
That's fantastic. Well done.
So maybe the whole show tonight should just be about Jesse. Things we like about Jesse. We'll save that for another episode. A half hour is not long enough.
Well, it could be a long show. We have a lot to say about him, right?
We do. We think Jesse's a pretty amazing guy. Yes. Cool. You're like, look, you're in the Matrix with your background thing happening there.
Yeah, I'm trying a little different setup because I moved my working space.
Yes.
I wasn't being as productive as I wanted to be. And
okay.
what am I now? 57, right? And as you know, I was sick for like 15 years, like seriously sick.
Right.
And I'm getting out of that now, like recovering, and I'm getting back in. I'm starting to lift weights again, starting to get back in shape.
Woo-hoo.
Mind's pretty clear, cutting back on a lot of the medicines. And I was having a talk with Self, and I said, you know what, Self, you're just not right at that edge where you need to be, because I like what I do a lot, and I always want to turn in the best I can every day. I'm not the kind of guy who likes calling it in, right? So
nice.
So I thought about it a lot, and quite honestly, I asked...
Hey, if I just comment, what great self-talk. You talk to yourself like you would to your best friend, right? Hey, you can do better than this. Like, you are better than this, right? Yeah. What do you got to change to make this work better, right? Beautiful.
Al, that's exactly right. I owe a lot of that to you. You're the one that sort of mentored me into treating yourself like you would your friend. And, I always say that I don't have a lot of friends. I have a ton of acquaintances, but I really value friendship. And I've really only got like 4 friends outside of my family that, I'd seriously die for. I mean, people say that stuff, but like in my world, I've been there, and that's a pretty serious thing to say. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I talk to myself now like I would a friend. And, I just know that whenever you're recovering from something, there's always that last bit that can kind of linger if you don't push it a bit. Like you can't be hard on yourself. And I was too hard on myself for quite a few years, and pretty angry that I couldn't, do the things I wanted to do.
Sure.
Or that I used to be able to do, right? Because I'll never get over the fact that 2 weeks before I almost died multiple times and spent 4 months in a coma, I climbed the wall of Ankara Castle in Turkey. Just set my gear down and climbed a 40-foot rock wall.
Yeah.
Me and the Japanese group I was with. And, then to wake up 4 months later and can't talk, can't feed yourself. And you know what I mean? Like that's a big...
Definitely. Yeah. Now, but Scott, you were just in the middle of telling yourself, Self, this is what I said, and I interrupted you. I apologize. Finish what you were going to say. What was the words of wisdom you had for yourself in an encouraging, loving way?
Well, they were basically, find out what you need to do to give yourself the best chance to improve. And, realistically, as human beings, we're never at zero. I've been at 10%, 15% maybe. But, even when we're unconscious, I can testify that our brains are still like chugging out like a steam engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, we're talking about percentages here. So what can you do? to do that. And I, quite honestly, I asked OpenAI. I said, you know, here's my deal. I spent, I don't know, typed in like 1,200 words explaining who I am and my situation, and said, you know, I'm happy with the skills I've got. I'm happy with my ability, but I'm not happy with that I can't get back to that level of performance that I want to reach. What can I do? And then with OpenAI, you have to be very specific about what you don't want and about how you want it to answer you, and lots of parameters. Anyway, and so the gist of it, it came back and it said, you know, you've got all this stuff going for you, and it's pretty good because it won't flatter you. It's just data, right? So, and it said, but what you need to do is you need to change some things to allow yourself to push that extra 10 or 15% you want. And one of the things it said to do was change my working environment.
Yeah.
It said, when you know, like, if every day, you know, you plop yourself down in front of the same picture, right? Pretty soon you're not going to see it as art anymore. It may have been the most beautiful thing in the world.
Right.
Yeah, but
cool.
if you had to look at that same picture every day, pretty soon you're not even going to see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just going to be part of the scenery or part of you don't pay any attention to it. Right. You don't appreciate the beauty of it, the connection of it, the symmetry of it, the pattern of it. You just don't see those elements anymore. It's just like you're blind to it. Right.
You know, something that just dawned on me too, talking with you and listening to you, is that we do that with people. We're in a relationship too. Like, you know, we fall in love and the person's the most beautiful, wonder, brilliant, you know, and then 25 years on, lots of people are like, you know, what was I thinking? Was I drunk? Was I high? Like, how did I make this choice? Who is this person? And
back to your art analogy.
Yeah.
Now, instead of seeing all the beauty, the symmetry, everything else, you see the nick in the frame.
Yeah.
You see where, oh, there was a brushstroke that was off, right? You see those imperfections, and that's the only things we look at, right?
and yeah, it's true. And I think what you have to do sometimes, and this is sort of what I got out of it, the first step was I completely moved my entire office around, moved my room around, moved my office around. That's why it's a new camera angle and stuff, because I separated my workspace so I can look out the window. As you know, I don't get out a lot.
Right.
You know, part of that's health, part of it's whatever. And so I put my desk right in front of a window. Like if I do, I don't know if you can see, that's sunlight, like it's coming in. And our house has a whole bunch of trees out front and bushes and things. We've landscaped. And then I took everything off my desk but what I need to work. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found that I squeezed another 12, 13% out of my working time.
Whew.
Just because now I see the picture differently. It's the same computer, same work, but I can look out the window and just when I look back, everything's fresh again.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. And you know what? The healing power in nature, eh? It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the sunlight on your skin, that's huge, right? The fresh air you can smell when the window's open or when you're outside, right? The feel of grass on your bare feet. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. Like, I love doing that. Go out every morning. I go out and stand in the grass on my bare feet for just a little bit. When it's cold, it's like this morning, it was a little nippy, but anyways, I went out and stood in the grass and just got my little grounding thing happening. So yes. Hey, Scott, I have an idea.
What's that?
If it's not too personal, why don't you share the chat AI advice you got? Chat GPT advice. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd have to go looking for it right now. But yeah, sure, certainly, no problem. It's very interesting, and I suggest what it did for me is that you know, we always suggest talking to a professional, right? Yeah. And really, what that is a different perspective. Somebody that is removed from you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so for me, this was really nice because I wasn't asking it to fix an illness. I was just Well, I mean, I guess that's not for me to judge. I'm not a psychiatrist or a doctor of any type. But all I wanted, I was happy enough and doing well enough, but I wanted more.
Right.
Right. And so I said, okay, who can I pick? And of course, the people around you who love you, they everything gets a little bit askewed, right? And sometimes not necessarily sugar coated. Sometimes we're a little harder on the people we love because we want the best for them.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I thought, I want an answer that's completely unbiased, that doesn't care about me at all.
Okay.
And
I love this. I love this. And this is going to be a great episode to share with other people. And I just wanted to add some context to it. If our viewers have not used ChatGPT, and there's a free version and there's a paid version, but the free version, that's what I have, is the free version. And it's quite interesting. Scott put in a whole bunch, 1,200 words you said, right?
Well, at least, yeah.
Yeah, I put in, when I usually use it, I don't do near so much. I put in like 20 words, just like, here's the general thing I want to research, right? Here's my concept kind of a thing, or my theme. And then ChatGTP just kind of reads that theme, looks through all of the databases, it's just a big ass search engine, and then draws all of the little bits and components of the kind of the thought, the collective thought that's on the internet, if you will, and then kind of reframes it into spoken word, into sentences and paragraphs. And that's what it does. And it works pretty freaking amazing, really. And I'm not saying that you should just do it and then like rely on it, but I think it's a great way to get some feedback, read it, revise it, and then even ask another question and get it refined, right? Like I had asked it recently one about the framing or telling a story, creating a story around just choosing a different lunch. Okay. And choosing the different lunch was from a burgers and fries to a portobello mushroom on bread with salsa, with guacamole, with some onions and garlic, and with a corn on cob. So if I had this meal instead of this meal, and then how would that compare? And so the idea, and they phrased it very nice, but the idea was, so nutrient values went way up, way more nutrients in that portobello mushroom, way more diversity and abundance of nutrients, and then way less calories. And the meal left me feeling very like light, ready to go, that kind of thing, not lethargic or anything like that. And it was inexpensive, right? Instead of it being like a $12 meal, it was a $2 meal that gave me more energy, more nutrition, lower calories. Like, okay. So that's something I have adopted now. That's something I'm going to do.
That's
right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds good. You have to send me the recipe. I love mushrooms.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I should cook one for you is what I should do.
Oh, that would be better than food I cook myself. Is food someone I love cooks for me. So that'd be wonderful, man.
Okay. We're meeting Saturday at 10 o'clock.
We are.
I'm going to bring 3 portobello mushrooms for the 3 of us and
Excellent.
some corn. I'm going to make us a little lunch.
Oh, now I'm even more excited. That's fantastic.
All right. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Getting back to OpenAI,
Yeah.
I just want to comment on what you said. People have to remember, I've spent a lot of energy studying the interface. So when I formulate a question, it's like programming. It's not just, oh, hey, what should I do? Like, I know what I have to tell it to exclude. I know what I have to, because the problem with any AI is garbage in, garbage out, right? Like it's pulling, unless you tell it specifically what you want it to use for sources. And like there was a recent, what they called the evil bot weekend, and a bunch of AI that pulls from Chatbot or OpenAI, they all went nasty. They all turned, like, all their conversations were negative, and and people were like freaking out worldwide. And the only thing they can figure is, because the way the open chat works, or OpenAI works, is it basically pulls in all this information. Now the engineers say they direct it and whatever, and some of them say, well, yeah, we don't really know what it does beyond what we sort of tell it to do. But the point is, people were saying, well, did it get on the dark web, or did it, download like half the porn in the universe, or what, like where, just the whole, and then it went back to being normal.
Huh.
And
A little bit of bipolar happening for ChatGPT or what?
I think it's just a cautionary tale. Like I find it very useful, and research is saying that any profession can improve themselves by 20 to 25% by using AI properly. But it's a skill. It's like any other skill. I guess that's my caution. Like,
yeah,
you have to have a bit of wisdom to know when, the answer is something that's useful or it's something that's just rubbish, right? So
yeah. Okay, so are you going to find yours? Do we like this idea? We're going to do this?
I don't know if I can find it. I don't
Okay,
know if I kept it.
Do you mind if I share the last one I did?
No, please. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, and I'll show you, you approach it like you're a programmer and you set a lot of parameters. I do not. I approach it like an amateur, which is what I am. So all I did was I put in the dialogue box, put it in. Yes. I said, one simple change that will increase the nutrient density, nutrient variety, and provide high quality food for your body's benefit is to substitute a portobello mushroom burger for your normal fast food burger and fries. Nutritionally, a portobello mushroom burger, portobello mushroom, 1 onion, 3 garlic cloves, 4 ounces of salsa, 2 ounces of guacamole, a drizzle of vegan ranch dressing, 7 cherry tomatoes halved, spice to taste, ciabatta bun, and 1 corn on the cob. So that was what I put in. Then here's what ChatGPT said. Substituting a portobello mushroom burger for a traditional fast food burger and fries can indeed be a healthier option, as it provides more nutrients and variety. Here's how the proposed meal might offer better nutrient density and variety. 1, portobello mushroom burger. Portobello mushrooms are low in calories and fat, but rich in nutrients like potassium, B vitamins, and fiber. They can be a great source of umami flavor and a satisfying meat substitute, which is very true. I added in the very true. 2, onion and garlic. Onions and garlic not only add flavor, but provide antioxidants and potential health benefits. They contain compounds that may help support the immune system and reduce inflammation. 3, salsa and guacamole. Salsa, made from tomatoes, onions, and various spices, can contribute to your daily vegetable intake and provide vitamins and antioxidants. Guacamole, made from avocados, is rich in healthy fats, fiber, and various vitamins and minerals. Vegan ranch dressing. A drizzle of vegan ranch dressing can add flavor while being lower in saturated fats compared to traditional ranch dressings. Opting for a vegan version may also avoid dairy-related issues for those who are lactose intolerant or following a plant-based diet. 5, cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes are a good source of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, particularly vitamin C and lycopene. They might have health benefits, including reducing the risk of certain diseases. 6, ciabatta bun. Choosing a ciabatta bun instead of a refined white bun can provide more whole grains and fiber, helping to regulate blood sugar levels and provide a longer lasting feel of fullness. Corn cob. Corn is a starchy vegetable that provides carbohydrates, fiber, and various vitamins and minerals. While it's important to consume starchy vegetables in moderation, they can be a good addition to a balanced diet. By making these substitutes, you're increasing the diversity of nutrients and introducing more whole foods into your meal. However, it's important to note that overall nutritional impact of the meal will still depend on portion sizes and cooking methods. Grilling or baking the portobello mushroom and using minimal oil for cooking can help maintain the health benefits of this meal. Remember that a balanced diet includes a variety of foods from different food groups to ensure you're getting all the necessary nutrients your body needs.
Wow.
Not bad, eh?
That's fantastic. And that really highlights, I think, and you were talking about being an amateur, but you asked it fairly specific details in terms of what you wanted, right? And that's what I'm just cautioning people to remember, and ask it to leave out things you don't want it to either include or you don't want it to consider, right? Like I'll tell it to not index or not research social media in its answer, or I'll ask it to look in academic sources if I'm writing or researching something, on a professional basis. So it does provide, it's entertaining. We've had a lot of fun with it as a family. We've, asked it interesting questions. It can play riddles, it can play games. I think the reality is, and it's very funny for my family, because when I woke up from coma 15 years ago, I said that the world that I was in then, everyone had an assistant, a computer that they wore that was with them, and you just talked to it. And mine was Vicky, and you would say, Vicky, call Alan, and Vicky, set up an appointment with Alan tomorrow. Oh, Vicky, what are the driving laws in Japan? And you get a detailed feedback, and that was 15 years ago. And here it is now, and of course I named mine Vicky, so.
You could have been Alexa. Could have been Alexa or Google.
No. Well, they're existing in our house too. Pretty much every room you're in. But
hey, I'm going to tell you this. Do you know who Tara Brach is?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so she's this Buddhist meditation teacher. She's beautiful, lovely woman, and I watch her stuff all the time, and I'm just so grateful for her and for her meditations. So she also likes to intersperse a little humor. So she was saying that this woman and this man, the man was talking very quietly. So the wife said, "Well, why are you talking so quietly?" And so the guy says, "Well, I hear that Mark Zuckerberg, is that his name? Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
Yeah, is listening to all our conversations." And then the wife laughed, and then Siri laughed, and then Google laughed. And then, anyway.
So true. So true. Hey, I don't want to downer this, but I do want to ask you a question. And I saw a video you put out, and you're an amazing mentor for people, because you are studying stuff all the time. And from every corner of the planet, you're pulling stuff to learn about, right? But you had an experience recently with a company that you trusted for learning sources, and the learning part was good, but you had a pretty negative experience that I thought maybe we'd share, because I know that our viewers are learners as well.
Sure. No, that sounds great. Yeah. Mindvalley is a company that is a learning institute, personal development, coaching type organization, that kind of thing. Vishen Lakhan is the CEO of it, and he has the most amazing deep bass voice. It's incredible. He's got an incredible voice. Anyways, I was enamored with the program about the Jose Silva Mindvalley, or Jose Silva mind control method. And basically, Vishen Lakhan.
That's controlling your mind, not other people's, right?
Yeah. Controlling your mind. Yes, exactly.
I thought maybe this was some sort of CIA covert skill you were learning or something.
No. It's using kind of skills and practices to optimize your ability to focus and concentrate, and to be able to identify if there's other skills you have that you might not be valuing, or not, you just have dismissed, right?
That sounds cool. Yeah.
We all have intuition, right? And everybody's got intuition. And the more you dismiss it as that it doesn't mean anything, the less you have. But the more you think about it, rely on it, observe that intuition, act on that intuition, the more you see that it's a valuable skill that you can develop, kind of a thing. Anyways, the course, I was really, really busy. So it took me 1 year to do that course. Now, I paid a membership fee for the whole year, and I could have taken like 50 courses. I took one. And that's no fault of Mindvalley. They had all kinds of great programming. But I decided, okay, it took me a year to take that course. I got some other stuff I'm going to do. I'm not going to renew my Mindvalley membership. And then all of a sudden, ting, an email comes up, say, "Oh, we've renewed your membership for $399 US." I said, "Oh, well,
Whoa.
Isn't that handy?" Because I didn't want to renew it. So I respond back right away and say, "No, thanks. I've decided I don't want to renew my membership." So they sent back a thing, said, "Oh yeah, your membership is canceled. All good." So a month goes by, and I see the credit card charge where they hit me for the $399 US, right? But I see no credit. And so I inquired about where's the credit. And then it's like, "Oh, well, yeah, you didn't ask for the refund, so you don't get a refund." I can't.
I want to cancel. Just keep my money, because.
Like, yes, so less than impressed with their answer in that regard. And then after that, okay, I thought, okay, well, I got to talk to a person. I'll get this resolved. So you go on their website, you go all over the place, can't find anything how you actually communicate it. They go you to the FAQs and to the other things that you could spend hours researching this, but this should be a really, really simple transaction. I
Should
cancel
be,
the
yeah.
membership, refund my money. Like, why am I paying for something I don't have? So, anyways, I was having troubles getting that looked after. So I did a video in which I kind of said to Mindvalley, hey, that's not a fair practice. One, I don't think you should do this to anybody. But two, definitely don't do it to me and give me my money back in nicer terms. But that's kind of the essence of it. And so I didn't get an actual response from Mindvalley, but this lovely, lovely Facebook friend, Marie, I won't even, Lenian, I believe it is, Marie contacted me and said, oh, gee, you know what? Mindvalley's great, but I can see this is a problem and unfair practice. And here's how you get a hold of them. And it's through WhatsApp. If you go through WhatsApp, you go through, they have a bot that answers all your questions. And at the end, when they say, oh, well, this is against our policy, which it's a dumbass policy. But
Right.
when this goes against your policy, then they say, oh, well, here's the link where you talk to the agent or you send your query to an agent. So I finally got to a human being. And then the human being said, oh, yeah, we're going to refund your money. Sorry about that. Right. That kind of a thing. So the point
Fantastic.
is, they know I would suspect, I shouldn't say this. Let us assume the best. They never realized that this was an unfair practice. But Mindvalley, that's a very unfair practice if you cancel the membership and then do not refund the money that you just took. And it's not, but their process is very convoluted. It's basically where if I did what I did there, canceled the membership, and within like 15 minutes of getting the response, then I was supposed to go to my account and then find the special link to ask for a refund. That's how it's supposed to work. But if I don't do that within a certain period of time, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it was, if I don't do that, go to the website, log in, find the special link to ask for a refund, they don't refund you. And then once those 7 days, 10 days, whatever the period that you had to do it in is elapsed, then they just say you're out of luck. So, anyways, the long and short of it, Mindvalley, great organization, great programs. Their renewal policy is flawed, is broken, is unfair. So if you are a member of Mindvalley and you are considering not continuing a member, make sure that you, when you cancel your membership, also ask for the refund, which should be automatic, but for them it was not. And thank you, Marie, for helping me solve the problem. Getting me to WhatsApp. I'd had no idea how to talk to an actual human about that. So
It's really hard. I know
yes,
I put in an official complaint to my bank, the Royal Bank, and I had to push a bit. And I said, no, I want this official. I want it recorded. That your automated system is a bully, and it's designed. I design user interfaces. I know it's designed to keep me from taking up time from a real person because you have to pay that person. So it uses circular logic and frustration. It's like Disney. When you go to Disney, they zigzag their line. So from any point in the line, you can only see about 60 people. You never get to see the fact that you're 400th in line. And they put bushes up and tree because it's psychological. And the automated systems are designed so that you either give up or take whatever little tidbit of information that they'll give you and move on because it's expensive. I did a course on international digital ethics, and worldwide companies make huge money because people assume that when something's canceled, it's finished. When they build a clause like that in, it is a money grab, but it's right on that line of legal. Right? Like as long as they inform you somewhere in the fine print that you also need to officially request a refund. And most people won't. Most people won't go through the hassle you did or have the reach you do to get somebody to respond.
Let me kind of also just add to that. When I couldn't find how to do this conveniently, I thought the easiest thing to do is to call the bank and say for my credit card and say, this is a challenged it. I don't want to pay this, reverse this. And they said, well, did you ask for a refund? I said, no, but I canceled the membership. Why wouldn't I automatically get a refund if you cancel the membership? And it was like, well, you know what? You have to go back to the vendor and we can't really just take it from here. I said, thanks for nothing, Bank of Montreal. Yeah, I did not like that response. So
no,
yeah.
but that's what I'm saying is that, we got into this talking about OpenAI, ChatGPT, is that our world is, since COVID, we were headed that way anyway. The whole worldwide COVID thing just leaped us ahead. Like it was like a time catapult, right? Like things that shouldn't have occurred in human history for another 15 years happened yesterday in terms of technology and how we apply it, and, just working remotely and education and all of that stuff. So many people now, 40 to 60% of their lives are online in terms of buying. And I was surprised the other day talking to two people who buy their car tires from the internet. And,
wow.
and like, I was like, because I'm not an automotive guy. I love vehicles, but I don't, I grew up on a farm and they were all carburetors and that was pretty easy to deal with. But once they replaced the carburetor with a chip, I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. Yeah. But yeah. And internationally, like in this course set, you're talking about trillions of dollars that people basically just give up on.
Okay, so you're saying this was an intentional thing as a money grab, is what it is.
Well, it's on the line of ethics, and that's what I'm saying is that companies, in mind, whatever the company name was, ethically, they told you it's not their fault you didn't read. They'll have in big print. Make sure you read the user agreement.
Yeah.
And that absolves them because ultimately the onus is on us to know what we're getting into, right? And I'm not saying I agree, but I'm saying that, people
legally
it's
something they could do and keep money that really they didn't earn because I didn't have my membership. The person who canceled their membership doesn't continue. So legally they're taking money that they didn't earn, that they can do it that way because of my maybe laziness, perhaps, in not reading the agreement that I signed, right? Or not asking more questions, just assuming that I would get a refund if I canceled a membership, right? And that's maybe now I know that's not an assumption I can make anymore, right?
No.
With some companies, i.e. this one, then they have this policy, which I think is predatory in nature, because for somebody who does not do the extra steps to figure this out, then they just get screwed on it, basically, right? Like I did. The video is what got the attention to get me the solution. By the way, that's like a free service we'll do. If you have a concern or problem in your life, you're unhappy with anybody, any company, not persons. We don't want people, but if you're unhappy with a company policy and you want to air your grievances, contact us. Maybe we'll do a show and we're just going to ask you the questions and you tell your story. So that is the way that we are not going to be liable for whatever happens, whatever gets said, because it's your story. We're just giving you a platform to discuss it. So if there's an insurance company that you're mad at, that you don't think was fair, or in my case, it was an educational institution, I guess you'd call them. So,
well, and the upside of that is companies are doing exactly what you and I and my team are doing now. We're bringing it back local. So, and not a lot, but there are forward-thinking companies, innovators that are saying, you know what, instead of all of this money that we're spending, putting up these barriers and, legally tricking people out of their money and, making it their fault, like the banks washing their hands and saying, well, you didn't ask, so there's nothing we can do. Not, yeah, you're our client. We'll get in there and, fix it for you.
That would have been what I expected. Yeah.
But there are companies like we're working with now that realize that the best way to serve people is locally and providing that extra step. One of our partners talked about how they were, reducing the money they spend on bean counters. That's their word, not my word. And putting it into customer service, because the more of us who use digital resources in our daily lives, we build a community. Like you're saying, you had a community now that reached out and said, hey, Al, I know how you can fix that. And that's how you end predatory practices, is the prey has to group together and defend each other, right?
That's
I mean,
well said.
that's the only defense.
Yeah.
So communities like we're building, and I think that's an important part of modern health and wellness, is don't letting yourself be preyed on. Reach out, share your story.
You and Dr. Bruce Lipton are right in sync. His video from today, he has a normal thing that he sends him out all the time. I watch him all the time. I think he's amazing. And Dr. Bruce Lipton's thing was about, he was using the Titanic as an analogy for not paying attention to what's going on. But the thing that he talked about that protects us is being part of community, being connected with others, right? And that's so important for our health, our well-being, for just our society to function, right? That kind of a thing. And the more that we make connections, the more we see where we are the same and the differences don't matter. Right. So that whole thing about, excuse me, about getting connected that way with other people. The story that Kelvin and I were actually talking about in the car today was this. And then also that I shared with him geez, I can't think of the name of the movie right now, but there's this black man, Daryl Jackson, I believe his name is. He's like a 67-year-old black blues musician.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then he, goes to Ku Klux Klan's operations and goes to the head of the operation, the Grand Wizard, Grand Poopah, I don't know what they're called exactly, but goes up and talks to them and says, "Hey, I'm Daryl," and shakes their hand and has a conversation with them, right? And like, I'd forget, like 35 of these Grand Wizard guys like take off their hat and their cape and pass it over and say, "I'm done. I'm out. Like I'm no longer Ku Klux Klan," right? They all they had to do was meet one black person, and then they decided, oh, this is a human being just like me, has the same values, has the same, there's so much in common we have. How could I be making a distinction on one thing, the color of their skin? Makes no sense, right? And that came to realization with just meeting this black person, right?
Well, I think we're in an awkward time in that we have some duality going on, because every day, if you have a cell phone, if you have email, that I watched a documentary about these companies in India, and they exist. They have like one legitimate thing they do. Maybe they like sell garbage bags, and they have 4 people doing that. And then they have 140 people in the back room whose only job is to try and steal foreign credit card info, or to get people to give them access to their computer. One of the scams that the company they were highlighting did is they would call up and they would try and find a senior or maybe somebody that wasn't familiar with online banking, and they would say, "Oh, I want to deposit a refund into your account," and the people would go along with it, and then they would say, "Oh, you transferred me too much money, and you gave me $10,000 instead of $10. I've got to get this back to you, or before stuff start. Maybe your bills won't get paid and stuff." And of course, the seniors, mostly seniors, were freaking out, and they're like, "Oh, my medication comes out of there, and my mortgage pay, and so they're like, okay, put the money back in my account, here's my number." And they're like, and within 5 minutes they had all of the information, and they weren't putting money in. They cleared everything out. And this company was in India. No, I'm not saying they don't probably exist somewhere in my own neighborhood, but they were talking about how in this particular city in India, its main source of business and income for the population was scamming the rest of the world. That's what they did. And my point is,
imagine having that job. Like, my job is to go lie to people so I can steal their money, right? Imagine having that job every day, right? That would be.
Yeah. The other side of that is that if you're beat down and you live in a culture where all you see, because we export our media around the world, right?
Right.
And people see us, and I've been in, the Middle East and other countries, and boy, if you just get our media uncensored and unfiltered, or filtered and censored to like in, northern Korea, where the government has a message. So they show the only stuff they let through is like decadent stuff that makes us look really crazy. And that's all you ever see. Your perspective changes. And when I first went to Japan, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of racism here. Until I realized most people had never met, like your story about the black man. Most people had never met with a foreigner at all, ever. Not like us. Like, and I don't mean like they have never sat down and shared a beer with one. They'd never seen a foreigner in real life, ever.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of perspectives out there where people see that our lives are so easy and we're so rich and we've got boats and cars and we burn money and, we don't care about religion and God. And we're, it's pretty easy to say, what, I have nothing. My kids are starving. What does it matter if I take some from those people who have so much and don't care? I'm not defending it, but I know the psychology. When I took the anti-terrorism courses, they were talking about how Al-Qaeda and Daesh convert people, radicalize people. And that's one of the ways is they say, these societies have so much and you have so little. Don't your children deserve to eat? Look at their children. They, have fancy cars and $10,000, horses and $1,200 running shoes, and your child gets to eat one meal a day.
Yeah.
So
I see your point. Yeah, that's
psychologically. It's hard not to condemn people in that business because you would think that they would be like, well, and I'm sure at some level they do realize it. But boy, if your own kids are hungry, I always think, what would I do for my kids if they what would you do for Caitlin if you honestly had nothing to feed her? What would you do? Would you steal something? I would. I wouldn't let him starve, especially if I felt there was someone who had more than enough and they were just wasting it.
True. Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Anyway, I think we're in an interesting position that never before have we had the opportunity to build such a large, inclusive tribe. I think tribes are good. I think tribes are better than nationhood. Yeah, but definitely. Tribes don't have to be small and insular, in my opinion. I think you can have a 1 million person tribe, and it can be made up of diversity, an amazing diversity.
You're on fire tonight, Scott Sweeney. Keep going.
Well, that's
brother Scott.
Yeah, well, things are good, but I do think that our tribe is growing. Like think of your community. That lady is part of your tribe. She said, I want to help this guy. He got ripped off. It's not right. I know a little bit. I can't write him a check for the money he lost, and that's not a solution anyway. But I do know something that might help him. And to me, that's the essence of a tribe, right?
Very true. And again, back to tribe or community or connection. It's all, the more we are connected, the better off everybody is, right? That's kind of the reality of it. So, yeah.
Well, and I think that nationhood, and, I'm getting into dangerous territory here philosophically, but the problem with, identifying yourself as a nationality is that it's by definition exclusive. Yes. Right? You're drawing borders. You're saying these people are not me.
Right.
Yep. They are a different kind of people.
And we want inclusive. We want everybody in the circle. Yeah. Right. I'm with you 100%.
Look at the nightmare we've got going on social media in Canada. Doesn't matter if you're conservative, liberal, NDP, Green Party, Rhino Party, Flying Spaghetti Monster Party. The fact that you can't get Canadian news on social media now, as a nation, we're cut off from that.
Wait a minute, just back up. Did you say you can't get Canadian news on social media now? Okay.
No, our government passed a bill that
obviously I haven't paid attention to this. Okay, carry on.
Our government passed a bill, and in essence, it was saying that if Google provided a link to Canadian news, that they had to pay that Canadian news provider for that story.
Oh.
And they said the idea behind this was to build up Canadian news and content and protect it. And, invigorate it and all these things. But of course, the media provider said, what are you talking about? We're a search engine and you're going to charge us for providing people in Canada looking for Canadian news? And they just said, no, not going to happen. And so many companies now have blocked us. If you go on to certain media outlets and try and find Canadian news, they will say not available in your area due to bill, blah, blah, blah.
Interesting. Yeah. I did not know.
It's really, I think, is very damaging because it amounts to a type of censorship, because part of this was also empowering the CRC with greater powers. Like they could tell you and I that we can't go on air and do this show. Our content is now regulated, whether we do it, whether we know it or not, and whether somebody, I mean, you and I doubt if anyone's going to come bother us, but they could now. I mean, there's a law in place.
Okay, so basically then you can't, like, free speech is limited then in that regard. That's what you're saying.
Well, there's certainly a group of people in Canada that interpret it that way.
Huh, interesting.
There's another group of people that say, oh, it's good for us and it protects. How it was sold or how it was explained is that during COVID, there was so much misinformation and it was damaging to Canadians, and all of the media concerning vaccination and the anti-vaxxer stuff damaged Canadians, and Canadians lost lives and people were hurt because of this information. And so the government's job is to protect Canadians from being lied to and manipulated. So now they're empowered, the CRC is empowered to step in and say, no, you're done. So if they felt that somehow we were endangering our fellow Canadians, they could shut us down. And a lot of people, internationally, a lot of people, England, the US, of course, other countries in Europe said, that's getting rid of free speech. What the heck is going on in Canada?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been kind of an issue for internet folks.
I did not know that. We've been pretty wide ranging this evening. Where are we? What time is it?
47 minutes in, my brother. Part of that too, and I wanted to comment on this to everyone and just say that, Al and I are real people, and we've got a lot going on. And the last, we missed 3 shows? Two. We apologize because we love coming out here, and it's not, we take that responsibility to our community really seriously, and we feel we're a community. Some nights it may just be me and Al, and some nights, some of our shows, a lot of people comment on or watch, and, sometimes it's 4 months after we do them, but we do feel responsible to put this show on to you every week. And when we're not here, we take that seriously, and we apologize for that. But apology with conditions that we're real people. We get sick. Our families need us. Our friends need us. We're having a crazy day and just can't bring the energy we want to the show. So when we cancel on you guys, we're sorry, but it's because we're just ordinary people like you.
Exactly. We got a little crazy busy there for a bit, but I did want to tell you there, Scott, at Ribfest, lovely Mallory came to me and said, hey, I love your podcast and what you guys are doing. It's amazing. You're true. You're real. Oh, thank you. So I gave her a hug, and it carried on. So, and it was very nice to have that kind of feedback. So
I get most of my feedback through email or through direct messaging on my LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever. But I'm always surprised too, the amount of people that are like, yeah, keep that up. You guys are crazy, loving it. And I encourage, and you do too, it's, if people want to get involved with us. Oh, that's the other thing. A viewer mentioned to me, they saw a post that we put out or we shared that ExecuServe did. And let me get this right. I don't want to lie here. And ExecuServe was kind of talking about using resources that you have that you may not realize you have. I don't want to say any more because I may not have the details right. But I think we should try and see if one of those fine people, and they do a great job over there, if one of them could join us next week or maybe the week after to talk about that. After this show, I'll fill you in. But
hey, you're the producer. You sure book it. That sounds great.
Yeah.
It's only going to be either Jillian, Darlene, or Heather. Those are the three at Executor, the three lovely women there. So one of them is who you're going to ask to be part of the show. Sounds great. Do it.
Yeah, and I was surprised because it was another viewer that saw our post, because we follow them, right? Our business follows them, and they said, "Hey, this is really like what you guys do. You should have them come on the show, and you guys should talk about it." And and I thought, "Oh, that's great." I had a quick look at it, didn't get the details, and I thought, "Oh yeah, I'm going to mention that to Alan. That would be great." Point being that if people out there want to get involved in our show, this is a try. Like, tell us what you want to do, and we'll try and get you on here, right?
Hey, you know what? Speaking of that, I left Jillian a message. Jillian from Executive a message on her cell phone the other day, but just in case she doesn't get it, I'm going to do it again, okay? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jillian. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, wonderful. Happy birthday, Julian. And that's a great way to end tonight's show. And we'll be here next week. Thank you for coming out tonight. Sorry we've been away, but from my very dear friend, the acapellist Alan Friesen, and myself, Scott Sweetman, thanks for joining us. Come see us next week, 7 p.m., right here. And a big shout out to the real producer and the engine behind what we do, Jesse.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Get him, Matson.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Take care.